Welcome to Radio Fixer's channel. Subscribe for upcoming videos. I highly suggest going back and reviewing other parts of this beautiful Zenith radio where we repaired the cabinet without staining the cabinet. We also tested all the resistor and replaced all paper capacitor in this chassis. We discussed how to read and understand the proper connection for electrolytic capacitors on a schematic and how to select safety capacitor and fuse for your radio. And we also discussed about how to create tuning dial belt for your radio. In this episode, I will focus on replacing all bad wires. Also, how to clean vacuum tune pens and what product to use to lubricate them. I will also discuss the options to replace a rectifier tube 6X5 and Y. Also, we're going to talk about why tuning I vacuum tube 6U5 is not working, and of course much more. So stay tuned. Alright, all the capacitors changed except this one here, which I ran out. I had to order some more. I ordered from Canada, from Just Radio. Usually I buy from them, and they're pretty good. These things up to now, I think I changed close to 18 capacitors or something like that. So that's why I ran out of 0.05 microfarad. And I was short in others, so I ordered some more. So one thing of me, while I'm waiting for those to arrive, I'm going to focus on changing some of the wires that you see is falling apart. You see that? As soon as I touch it, start falling apart. These are the wires, like a rubber coating over it. These are the insulation that is going bad, as you can see. Is insulation falling apart. So I'm going to replace that. The interesting thing about this is, I don't know if you can see this or not, what they did, they got a piece of wire. They put it here, 1, 2, 3, 4 turn, and then the other side, the other red wire right here, they put about 4 turn around that, and it's not hooked up to anything. As you see, it's right here, it's not hooked up to anything both sides. So I'm going to do exactly what they done. There should be a reason behind, doing what they done. So I'm going to unsolder this, replace this. This is a blue wire. I'm going to replace it with blue wire as well. So here is the connection. I'm going to unsolder this and put this piece inside the new wire. Alright, I got a piece of wire, put it here the same size. Also, I met the nuts exactly where the nut's supposed to be. Let's install this into this wire. I already add some flux, as you see right in the tip. That make it easier to melt. I'm going to add some solder to my solder gun. That flux really is helping to solder go through quickly. Alright, this is it. Alright, that is done. It's been soldered. Okay, next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean each pen for each tubes. Clean them pretty well. I use rubbing alcohol. You put it in cotton swab and make sure they're all very clean by one. Some tubes like this, you see they're oxidized. See that? All those black thing. So first I'm going to use the cotton swab again with alcohol. Try to clean them. If they do not clean that well, I get a nail file, for your nail, and I go one by one, very gently, not too much, try to clean a little bit. You want to be careful, don't remove all the plates for these pens. Your purpose is just make them clean a little bit, then again use rubbing alcohol and clean all this. Alright? After doing that, I'm using this product to lubricate each pen for each tube. I'm going to lubricate them with this. I'm using this in my car and I have a great result. The reason I'm using this, so the pens always have a good connection with the base, so it doesn't get oxidized, or if it gets rusty, it's not going to have a good connection. This way, when you use this, you're never going to have any issue with this tube connection. All right, so hopefully this is going to help you as well. All right, let's talk about vacuum tube 6X5. I test this vacuum tube. Is very weak. I have 3 options. Order another one like this, but the issue with this type of vacuum tube, my understanding is, after doing some research, sometimes this tube, they get shorted and they're going to damage power transformer, and those power transformers is going to be very hard to repair. It is doable, you can fix those, but it takes a lot of work and you really need to have a lot of experience to do that. So I have 3 options to replace this. Again, I can buy another one. The other options is buying, I believe they call it military, is 6X5 WGT. I purchased that, I ordered that, and I should receive it soon. And that one, my understanding after doing research, is much better than this. The third option, to purchase solid state rectifier tube, which you can buy them online, but again, my understanding, I might be wrong, some of those going to increase your B plus voltage, so you have to be careful with that. I'm going to again use that military type. I'm hoping that was better designed than this one. Of course, these are beautiful, the shapes of them, but I want to make sure the radio always work for my daughter. 10 years, 20 years from now, when she turn it on, she doesn't have any issue with this tube. All right. Sometime I forgot to tell you, the radios, they stamp on the chassis the tube number. Sometimes they stamp it right here, and some they don't. So that's why you document tube location. All right. I have different sizes of pipe cleaner, so depends of the size. You go inside the pan, say like that. You go a few times in, and you clean it all over. This is for those of you just got started. Each tube has a pen right here. See, this is the pen. And here, this is, they call it pen. You see that? So you're going to line them up here. But before doing that, before installing each tube, you want to get the tube and juggle it a little bit. If this is loose, you have to glue them. This is Gorilla Glue. You just put a couple of drops. You let it sit overnight to dry, then you install it. Otherwise, this is going to come apart because they glue them. Also, these things you want to test too. You see this? If it's loose, again, you want to use Gorilla Glue. Glue it together. Let it sit overnight. Then install them. Yeah, always you want to check your tube. So I'm looking where the pen is. Right here, right there. Then you hold the base, not the top, the base, and you press it down. See, this is set. The last thing what we need to do, all this connection to the top of the tube. Of course, the top here, you're going to clean this as well. See, these all need to be cleaned. Then I looked, began my drawing, see each of those where they connect. This is to this tube, this is to this tube, that's to this tube. Again, you want to document everything, because it's so hard to remember. Definitely you want to clean this thing. They're all corroded. Outside is fine, inside. Again, not too much, just a little bit, like that. Then I'm going to use that lubricant here, all right, and put it on this tube as well. Then this goes, of course, right over it. Now we know it's a good connection, all right. This eye tube is not coming on. So I looked at the schematic. Inside here there is a 1 meg resistor, is this small, that's installed inside. So first what I did, I removed this cover here, just the cover by itself, because when you take the tube out, this thing all will fall apart. That's what happened. I tried to take the tube out and this thing fall apart. So remove the cover like that just by itself. A couple of things I noticed. Of course, there is a resistor is soldered to one to this pan, the other side, and I need to install that. Meanwhile I'm doing that, I see some of these wires are start falling apart. They have a crack. I have two options. One, remove each one by one. Do not remove all at the same time. You're not going to remember where they go. And so maybe remove them or put some insulation over it. If underneath is hard to get to, I've just put an insulation. If it's easy to remove, of course, under the chassis, then I'm going to remove one by one. It's a too detailed work, especially if there's a bad location under the chassis. The resistor again is right here. I don't know why they installed it here and it stays somewhere under the chassis. It's difficult to get to. So I'm going to loosen this up a little bit so I can move the tube around so I can get to it. It's crazy the way they installed it. They could install it on a line somewhere, to be easy to take those and replace it. This is rubbing alcohol, clean these wires to be able to see what colors they are. Of course, this is red, brown, black. The bottom is green, and this should be white, but we're going to call it gray. Yeah, this is brown. The green is underneath. So it's always a good idea, because here was so dirty, this wire, I couldn't tell what colors they are. Now I can track them under the chassis. You're not going to believe this. I was taking this eye tube out. Everything fall apart. This came out as all wires are out. Such a bad design. So I need to figure out where all this wire goes. Everything fall off. So let's see if I can figure these things out. Darn. Alright, after spending hours on the internet, find out how to read this tube. See right here, this has an error. So this is pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is how you read it clockwise. Also, this one, you see it has a little cut here. That is where start number 1. These two are larger than the other holes, as you see that. So when you want to install here, if you put it incorrectly, it will not fit unless those two large one goes here. You see that little cut? This little cut here between these two large pin. Okay? I check online for this vacuum tube, and I find this information which applies to 6U5 and 6G5. I assume the layout are same. And here they give you a lot of information about this tube. Information I was looking for, the pin numbers and each pin, what they are representing. Like this pin number 1 and number 6 are heater, as you see here, H. Pin number 2 is a plate. And pin number 3, of course, is ground. They identify all, pins, so this is very helpful. Let me show you what I did. So here I put side by side from schematic and also the drawing that I did to be able to show you what my finding was. Of course, the tube is not connected. We are just right now testing the wire to see each wire where actually need to be hooked up. Here, of course, the 2 pin under this tube, this vacuum tube, they are large, much larger than the others. Between them, there is an arrow like this. That is the center between both of these tubes. So clockwise, we know this is tube 1, 2, and goes up to tube 6. So if you look at here the schematic, between pin 2 and pin 4, a 1 meg resistor is installed. So if you look at here, between tube 2 and 4, that's the resistor 1 meg. So this information we transfer from the schematic to here to figure this out. Of course, in pin 4, they call that target. That's the red wire. It goes to B+. So let me show you in a schematic. You see, this is pin 4. It goes all the way up here and you hook up to here. So you can use your multimeter, make sure these connections are correct. Of course, pin 1, which is the heater, is the black wire to the ground. So if you look at the schematic, this is where the heater is. That's number 1. I marked it for you. That's number 1, where you hooked up. Number 3 is the brown wire, or the grid. Let's look at number 3 here on the schematic. Right, start from the grid. Dash dash is a grid. So if you continue, it's coming out. As you know, this dots means there's soldered. There's no connection here, but here is soldered. Continue, another soldered. Continue, goes to this coil, and it comes here, goes to the center tab of the tube in the top. So you put your multimeter right here in pin 3 and come all the way to the center tab here. You hook up your multimeter on ohm reading. Of course, the radio is off, right? It's not on. It should give you a reading of 7 ohm to 8 ohm. Mine was 8 ohm. So that is how you test this. So you know where actually this hook up to number 3. And here I noticed also how to do that. Number 5. Let's look at number 5. Number 5 is a cathode, is a gray wire. So that is connected to one side of television jack. Let's look at the schematic. This is number 5. Right here got it started. If you continue, it comes here, soldered here, comes down, as you see, hooked up to the one side of the television, the jack. Of course, you can put your multimeter here, and you put your multimeter here, and it should be a reading. Usually I set my multimeter to give me a sound, so I know there is a connection. Number 6 is a heater, and that is a green wire. If you look at the schematic, I marked number 6 right here. So this is it, number 6. So I put all this together so it can help you. It was a little confusing. I had to do a lot of research because the schematic does not identify all these numbers, so it's very hard to figure that out. If you don't have electronic background, it's tough to figure this out. But I put this together to make your job easier for those of you with no electronic background. This also is going to help you how to understand a little bit at a time the schematic. Hopefully this will help you. I can't believe this is working. I just hooked it up temporarily in the back, all the wires, and you see the front light is coming on. Right here. See if I change the station, it will change. That is awesome. I'm so happy it is working. This is great. It's coming together. This is awesome. I can't believe it's still working again. This thing was dead totally. Spent hours to figure this out, how to hook up all these wires. And I had that, of course, that resistor 1 meg as well. All right, it's working. I guess in next episode, I'm going to focus on repairing the antenna case and replace any wires that are bad. Then polish the brass dial glass case and focus on fabricating, tuning knob for this radio. At this time, I want to take the opportunity and thank my subscribers with their uplifting comments. You always encourage me to upload more videos, since this is just a hobby of mine. Again, I appreciate you. Enjoy all these videos, and you all have an awesome day. Take care. If you're interested to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when a new video being uploaded. You have a great day.